Hello all, welcome back to Drum Pop Studios. I'm Nate from Detroit. First of all, much love to everyone out there right now. I'm going to show you something really cool today, something that I use quite often. I think you will too. There's lots of applications for it, and we'll talk about that near the end. This is how I switch immediately between large sample libraries. I use a host application, a VST host or a sample library host. And what I'm going to be showing you today is on Mainstage. Now you might be able to use it on Ableton Live or other applications for Windows and Linux, and I can show you those in another video. Today we're going to focus on Mainstage 1 because it's what I think, in my opinion, is the easiest to use for this type of situation. And 2, it's super cheap. It's $29 in the App Store at the time of making this video. And it's an incredible price for what you get, by the way. This is not a promo video, I promise. But we're going to talk about more about what's all packaged in Mainstage and why it's a good solution right now, in my opinion, for lots of things. You even get drum sample libraries and other instrument sample libraries within it. And I'm going to show you one right now to start this off with as a demonstration of what you can do. I'm going to be immediately, no loading time, skipping right between some of our favorite drum sample libraries of Toontrack and built into Mainstage and Addictive Drums and everything. Watch this. So we'll start out with just like a cool beat. I'm going to demo this for you real quick so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. No loading times between large sample libraries and all sorts of different sounds. Here we go. Start out with some cool beats. All right, and I'm immediately going through big famous libraries here. The Bob Rock sample library with Toontrack. Now we're on Death and Darkness, Pool. Cool, huh? All right, so I'm using Mainstage as the main host for this. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it right now. And then I'll show you my project here and how many kits I have lined up and how I compare different drum sample libraries and even layer them on top of each other real time in performance. All right, so here we go. When you open Mainstage, it has like a lot of templates and everything. I mean, it's for this. It's for performing with effects and sample libraries and different things. And so we can go to an empty project here. Actually, I have to go to Keyboard Minimalist. So it's just going to load a default project here. And all this is a classic piano, okay? And my drums might trigger right now. Okay, so it'll take any MIDI in, and just so you know what you're looking at, this is your performance screen here, if you're new to Mainstage, okay? This is your performance screen. These are patches, so to say, over at the left here. And then over at the right, we have this mixing console. Now you can go into performance mode where it only shows this, and it's full screen for you, so you can put it on like a large LED screen or maybe like even a projector or something that you can see from stage, or at a small screen at the side. And also, I should mention that all of this is controllable with an iPad or an iPhone. So here we go. What we're going to do here is, instead of this ePiano, we're going to use our Toontrack library. So we're going to go to Toontrack. We're just going to go down here to AU Instruments, Toontrack, and then Superior Drummer 3. Okay, and here we go, Superior Drummer 3 with the default kit. And now you can pick out whatever your favorite one is. Mine is the Rooms of Hansa, Marble Room. You will have to do the typical settings that you do. Whatever changes you do within this software instrument, when you do Mainstage and you go File, Save As, it's going to save all of these parameters, including your MIDI in settings. So first of all, you have to go and set up your MIDI in settings, unless it just takes it by default. But I'm using the Roland TD1, and then I always like to calibrate the hi-hat because some hi-hats have different CC values for closed and open. And so when I do that, see, okay? All right, so now this one's all set. I can play this kit. Cool, huh? This, now I'm going to explain just a little bit over here. This is your instrument channel. You can EQ it. I've been just demoing everything dry because I like to, but you can EQ it. This is a metronome you can have, and this is some post effects if you want any bus effects on it. And then this goes to a kind of a master bus. So you can put a limiter or master EQ on that, and then here's your master slider. So that's the basics of this mixing panel over at the right, and you can even hide that and put it away. Okay, and we renamed it Hans and Marble. So that's our first patch there, okay? And then now we can add another patch, or if we're going to use another superior library, we can just right-click this and duplicate it, okay? And now, since we duplicated it, it'll have all of our MIDI settings too. So now we can bring up our Superior Drummer again off our channel. And then let's choose a different library. What do you guys want? I like the New York kits, but let's go to some popular ones out there right now, the Death and Darkness, right? Let's go to the Darkness kit, and I like the Darkness in the Pool. So here's in the pool. That's loading now. And you see it's loading here, and so it does this when you open your project. This is still going to have to load all your kits. But once all your kits are loaded, that's it. You saw how I seamlessly was just transitioning between every kit, and you can even layer these on top of each other. So now that that's loaded, we can bounce right between these two kits. Now, to be able to do it live, how I was showing you in the demonstration, you have to assign a quick button to either a pedal, or I did it on pads because I have an SPD30 over here, so I just used 2 of the pads. You could even use one pad and use the top to go up and the edge to go down, or if it has velocity settings on a Roland or something, a velocity switch, you could have it where if you hit it lightly, it goes up, and if you hit it hard, it goes backwards. So you can also set these for MIDI program change numbers as well, so you could have each one of these pads go directly to a specific kit. So it's almost like a stomp box mode. So let's now go into layout. So you just click this layout button up here. And this is like your graphical layout and what items you want in here. So I'm going to drag in 2 buttons, all right? And with my drums connected through USB, I'm going to assign this left button to one of my pads. So I'm going to push assign, and then I hit the pad. Just like that, okay? Then I'm going to click this one, do the same thing, assign, hit a pad. That's it. All right, so now when I hit these pads, it hits these buttons, all right? So that's easy enough, but now they don't do anything. All they do is just light up, okay? And so what we're gonna do is make them do something. So then you go to Assign and Map, and if you haven't yet, make sure that you go View and Show and Hide Inspectors. That's this area down here. So I'm gonna select this button here. I'm gonna go to Actions, and I'm gonna go to Previous Patch. And I'm gonna select this button and go to Actions and go to Next Patch. See? Easy enough. And now I'm done assigning and mapping, so I can turn that off. And now I'm gonna be able to go up a patch and down a patch. Up a patch, down a patch, just like that. And you wanna make sure it's noted that you do everything at the concert level. So make sure you have your concert selected up here, and you can title this, and then you go into layout and then do your assignments there, and then and make sure you're at concert level when you're assigning and mapping as well, okay? And that way, no matter what concert you're on, it's going to keep those settings for you. So this is forward now, and this is backwards. So now we can be playing on the Hans. All right, cool, huh? You ready to have some fun?
Are we having fun yet?
So let's look at the project that I've put together here. Now this is how I like to compare and contrast a lot of different drum kits and sample libraries out there, different brands of sample libraries, and some of my own samples. But first, if you've stuck with me this far, I'd like to take this time to encourage you to subscribe. We've got so much more going on at this studio. We've got performances, 3D animation, drum recordings, mixing, all sorts of information and fun stuff. You don't want to miss out, I promise. So subscribe and tell any of your friends that may find these videos helpful. Okay, so let's get started here. First, I gotta triple the RAM.
I want to triple the RAM.
All right, now I'm gonna go to Preferences and I'm gonna show you General, a couple settings that is gonna make it easier for you. So go to Display and make sure that you have Show Toolbar CPU and Memory Meters and Show Memory Usage and Patch List and Show Warning if computer is running too hot. Make sure you have these checked, okay? And you can select your language here too.
In English, we call them bananas.
And also on the General tab, I like the action at startup to do nothing. Because the last time you were in here, if you had a bunch of channels lined up and a ton of sample libraries and all this memory, it's going to take a long time to load. And if you were excited to sit down and get started again, well, then you're going to have to wait for that last project to load. So just have action do nothing, and then it'll boot up really super fast, and then you can decide where you want to go from there. That's the preferences, and it's really important because now we can see our memory and CPU usage as we do things. So you saw just with me striking the drums and triggering some things, it caused the CPU to bounce just a little bit. Now, the memory. Yes, I'm using a lot of memory. I have a ton of kits loaded here. And so this is where it can get interesting too. So let's look over, and if you look real small next to each one of these, it shows you how much memory each one of these kits is taking up. Now I want to take note of a couple things in here. These that are labeled with the combos are a little higher because it's more than one sample library. Some of them it's 3 or 4. Now these that are single, this is the Bob Rock collection from Toontrack, and that's the metal setting, 42 megs. This is a easy drummer package. It's not a superior drummer package. That's the pop punk, and that's 40 megs. So not a big difference. And then let's take a look at Addictive Drums. Look at this. Now that's just a default setting on Addictive Drums. Okay, 324 megs. Now this is a combo that I have. There's like, this one has 3 superior drummer libraries at it loaded into one patch. Now this has just one Addictive, and Addictive Drums was my favorite at one time, just mainly because of their spectrum of library, and I liked their fullness of sound and compressors that they had built into it. It was a really cool drum sample library, and now it's uncomparable. So let's just do a side by side, so you can hear what I'm talking about. All right, and this is Addictive Drums metal kit. Okay, all right, so now let's go into comparison. This is their Studio Progressive kit. All right, and let's go hit New York. All right, but you know, art, music, it's all in the taste, right? But in my opinion, there's not even comparing these sample libraries anymore. Toontrack is in a whole nother world now. So that's a way you can compare drum sample libraries just back to back like that. We can even switch live right between them. So this is Bob Rock and Death from Death and Darkness, the default Death, and then the Bob Rock metal kit. You can practice it with fills or run a riff with your band or something. All sorts of applications. We're bouncing between them instantly with no caching, no loading time. Be very beneficial. But I do want to say real quick, there are some addictive kits that I still really enjoy, such as their over-compressed vintage samples. And that's what I liked about Addictive Drums, is you could be instantly in these finished rooms and be creative in it and not have to worry about what is that going to sound like with this effect or that effect. I mean, you're there already with them. And that's what I liked about them. And popping between Addictive Drums and some of my favorite Toontracks is really fun now. So now let's talk about layering. You already saw how I layered the Bob Rock metal kit on top of a Death and Darkness kit. Well, a lot of people like Death and Darkness library. There's the Death and the Darkness. Well, what if you could take your favorite Death kit and layer it right on top of your favorite Darkness kit? Now, we might do this in multi-track a lot, or you might layer up a snare with a sample library snare or with your acoustic snare. We do this a lot, but to actually play it and hear it in your headphones real time or in your speakers, or even for a live situation or jamming with your friends, it's different and it's really cool. So here is, I'm going to switch between the three different kits. So here's Death, and then Darkness in the Pool, and then Death Default and Darkness in the Pool together. All right, so here's Death first. Pool. And now both. Fun, isn't it? All right, so I took my favorite Death kit, my favorite Darkness kit, which is in the Pool, and my favorite Hansa kit with my own custom settings, and layered them all together in one patch. No, Nate, you're taking it too far.
You can never go too far.
Thank you, Ferris. As you can see, it does take up quite a bit of memory. However, it does play. Let's hear it. Oh, that's fun. It's all about expression. It's just finding the sounds and layers that make you as a drummer express yourself the best, or fit the sound that you're working with the other musicians in the room the best, or to fit the room that you're playing to. It's really cool to bounce between electronics or big, huge reverberate drums. There are just so many environments, and Mainstage opens lots of options for you and is a great tool to go along with your sample libraries that you've collected. This is also helpful for churches or live streaming events where you can have your whole set list and each patch already set for each song, and down it goes. You can even have Mainstage have a metronome click for each patch that you go to, so your tempo is set where you click in the next song. And not only a click track, but you could also have a song track or a loop set to that patch, set to start. There are many helpful possibilities with Mainstage, and I'll show you more in future videos. Again, if you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and make sure to send it to any of your friends that may need to see it as well. And I hope you visit Drum Pop Studios again soon. So long for now.
It sounds too stock.